Hi everyone, welcome to our STEM session. So I'm really excited that you're here today. So for those who do not know, stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's just so much more than just subjects in school, such as biology. STEM is really is what powers the world around us, from our phones in our hands to the cards that we write in, to the way that we communicate, to the way that we create, to the way that we solve real life problems. Today isn't just about memorizing formulas or sitting through lectures. It's about discovering how STEM shows up in everyday real life, learning about some cool careers and trying some fun activities that can get you thinking like an innovator, right? So just more of exploring who you are, what are some of the careers that you might be interested in the future, and how can those relate to some of the fields of STEM that you were not aware of that now you might be a little more interested in about. So no matter what you're into, art, sports, fashion, and video games, there is a place for you in STEM, which is the whole mission of this workshops, right? So it's just about exploring and being open-minded. So I'm very excited that you're here, and you're learning about this. And later on, I'm gonna be providing, detailed opportunities that you can apply for. So those are things that are gonna be great for you. Let me share my screen. So give me a second. Let's see, share. Okay. Let's click present. See slideshow from the beginning. So module one is about STEM and who cares. So as mentioned before, it's just to give you an overview of how STEM is implemented in our day-to-day, everyday life that we don't even notice, right? So it's just more about how to connect those dots and to be more aware of the resources and the things that we use every day. So once again, some of the course expectations is make sure that you arrive on time and be prepared for each session. And that can be just, paying attention or potentially having a notebook so you can take more notes. Respect each other's experiences, opinions, and questions. The third is make sure that you're doing your part, and give others a chance to share and be involved when it's their turn. Lift others up. Avoid criticism, right? We want positive feedback. Criticism is not what we are looking for exactly. Be patient with yourself and others. And let's just be here to learn and enjoy the experience, right? Because once again, we want to make sure that this is as, the most interesting for you as possible. So here are the course overviews. We have a total of 4 modules, which we will be covering in the next few weeks. We're usually going to be doing 2 modules per day so that we can be the most time effective, and so that we can go over all of the other, sessions that we have planned for the semester. So the first one, as mentioned before, is about STEM, who we are, who cares. The second one is about who is STEM, right? So that is identifying those professionals in the field of STEM and getting rid of some stereotypes um around the STEM field as well. Module three is me and STEM, why and how. So for this one, it's about how can you relate the careers or the possibilities that you might be interested for your career path in the future that can relate to STEM, and how can you get to um those resources and learn a little more about it as well. And the last one is STEM. Here we come. So now that we have identified the steps necessary to pursue a career STEM, what do we have to do and how do we take that chance? So it's important to know that we're going to be exploring the wonders about science, technology, engineering, math, and just discovering exciting careers. It is more about career exploration. Once again, as mentioned at the beginning, we're not going to go through formulas. We're not going to go through anything, extremely hard. It's about just getting an overview of all of these possibilities for you. It might help you build some confidence. We're going to be speaking about imposter syndrome, right? And this is something that every human being can experience, and it doesn't matter if they're in the STEM field, right? It can happen in day-to-day life, including in school, right? So just, understanding those things as well, and just connecting with inspiring role models, and just gaining tools for success. As you might know, we are having some STEM speakers coming this month and next month. The first speaker is going to be attending one of our sessions on May 30th. And she is a PhD student in biomedical sciences. And she wants to cure cancer. So I think she's going to be very interesting for you. And the other one is coming June 6th. And she is a data analyst at a company. So she's going to be talking about all of those things and what she had to do to take for her to get to that point. And then we're also having a nurse coming. In regards to the date, it has not been confirmed yet. But in the next few days, I'm gonna be sending an email to all of you so that you can be aware. The first one, I love this quote that one of the students had, so I wanted to read it to you. So you can put yourself in that mindset. So she says, I always liked science classes, and math was my favorite class. I knew I wanted to pursue something in STEM, but did not know what exactly. I wanted to help people with hazards and natural hazards. Businesses around my house lost a lot because of erosion, and that made me want to help people, right? So for this one, she was able to relate what are her favorite subjects in school, and then she related to something personal that happened to people in her community. And then she was thinking, how can I put myself in a place that I can help others? And then it also seemed that she was interested in like the natural hazards, right? So it's a matter about connecting the dots, right? But first, I would like to ask you a quick questions, and this for us to be able to reflect before we get more into the presentation, right? So give me a second. Let's see, it doesn't let me present. Okay, great. So the first question, this is a STEM, what would you rather question so that you can reflect and think about it a little more. So the first one is, would you rather explore outer space or dive deep into the ocean? Think about it. The second one says, would you rather build your own robot or design a new app? The third says, would you rather discover a new planet or invent a renewable energy source? The fourth one says, would you rather code a video game or design a roller coaster? The fifth one says, would you rather be a scientist who cures diseases or be an engineer who builds? Hmm. And then let's see, okay. Okay. The other one says, would you like to work? Would you rather create a self-driving car or build a house that floats? How cool is that? As you can see, everything related to STEM is about creativity, how to be as innovative as possible, and also to have that information and experience for you to get to that point of, you know, building a floating car. How cool would that be, right? Every single time I see, Back to the Future, the third movie where you see the cars, floating and driving. So it's just everything about being creative, innovating, having big ideas, and having teamwork and being extremely organized to get to that point, right? So imagine what somebody that created the first iPhone had to do. First, they came up with a big idea. They allowed themselves to be as creative and open-minded as possible, and then they got all the information when it comes to a technology, for them to be able to build a phone, right? And now let's keep going. Let's see. See, give me a second. Okay, we already went over this. It's not needed. So for this one, you'll be learning what STEM is, why STEM is important in your life and beyond. So that means what is the impact that they can do to a society or a large mass of people, right? And how STEM impacts society, right? So once again, for the meaning of STEM, S stands for science, T for technology, E for engineering, and M for math. There is now a new version to these acronyms. So instead of being STEM, it's STEAM. So it's STEAM. So the A is in regards to architecture, right? So what is science, right? So science is a study of the natural world and involves observation, asking questions about what we see, making guesses about why things happen, and then testing our guesses through experiments to see if they're right. Interesting, right? So imagine all of the knowledge that we have to have in regards to science for you to be able to explore the outer space, right? Or for you to be able to cure cancer, right? What are some of the science? What is the technology that they need for you to be able to cure cancer, right? Or let's, study the different blood types. So let's study the different, cancers. How can you cure breast cancer, right? So those are definitely things to think of. And for some of the examples, as mentioned, is medicine, and it can be the environmental sciences, right? So, let's say, how can we prevent a tornado? How can we react if something happens, right? So it's just more about learning about, um, all the immense possibilities that are out there to either solve an issue or improve something or prevent something from happening, right? And then now we have technology. So this involves using tools, methods, and steps to make change and use things. So this involves, physical tools and the computer programs that work together. So it can be programs, it can be like the algorithm, it involves a lot of things, right? And some of the examples can be computer programming, game development, right? So those who play Black Ops 3, or Minecraft and all of those things, somebody had to develop those games, right? So somebody had to have the technological skills, which includes computer programming for them to be able to design and code for a game to happen, right? And then we have web development, right? So those are all the websites that you see. Let's see, if you go to the Apple website, it shows you a very, I would say, minimalistic, aesthetically, but well architected like app. So let me show you. Let's go on this and let's explore how it looks like. Let's see. Apple. And it's also the fact that it's user friendly. So there's a lot of things that you have to take it, keep in mind when it comes to, using some apps or playing some games, right? Because the reality is that the iPhones are very user friendly, right? Meaning that you can put it on vibration if you don't want, you can mute it, you can put it on personal and DND, you can text, you can do voice messages, you can do like the voice message and it translates into words, right? So it's very convenient. So usually technology, they're trying to make it as convenient and as user-friendly as possible for them to have the most amount of people use it, benefit from it, and also making profit, right? So look how nice this website looks like. It just looks modern. It looks good, right? Here you can see the Apple TV. You can get all of those things, and then you go to different, see. But there's this website. You see how cool it looks like, how it moves. Look at that. And then now that we have Apple Intelligence, which makes life so much easier, right? When it comes to fixing, writing tools for grammar, when it comes for editing, when it comes to improving the Siri of the quality, having it to be language accessible, where people from Korea, from, France can speak into the phone and they can just translate, right? So that is amazing. That reminds me that I gotta get a phone ASAP. But let's keep going. And then cybersecurity, making sure that somebody's, you know, putting your data in a space that is safe. You don't want people hacking you or, stealing your social security or stealing your identity. No, that's why you have people that do cybersecurity or they secure data to make sure that, your identity or personal information is not being shared. Um, Okay. And then we have for the E, we have engineering. So this is basically using science and math to come up with clever ideas and solve problems. Um, they usually use their creativity and smart thinking, my apologies, to create solutions to real life challenges, right? So aerospace engineering, like people that create planes, that build their planes, right? That requires a lot of engineering, right? Or people that go out of space, those machines or those, I don't even know how to call that. Those required, engineers, right? And we have urban planning, which is about the planning of usually sustainable streets or things like that. And then we have electro engineering. So imagine if we didn't have any lights, right? So engineers, electrical engineers, or electrical technicians, they ensure that we have light, everything's connected properly for us to be able to have light, which is in electricity, which is important because I don't know how I would live without my charger, be able to connect my phone or something like that, or no AC during the summer, right? We got to think about all of those things. And those are things that we usually take for granted and that we don't think about. But imagine all of the effort, creativity, and knowledge that it took for you to be able to have an AC, right? Imagine how somebody was so creative that they were like, it's over for us to be able to go through like the hot summers. We need AC, we need cold air or the heater, right? How cool is that? And then for math, I know that this might be a tough subject for some of you, because you either don't like math or you don't think how, finding X and Y will help me in my future career when I'm never gonna use that, right? So it depends, and depends on what career you go to, right? So math is a language and a set of tools that can help you understand different patterns, relationships, and structures, right? It's super important for figuring out in science and in technology. So let's say you have a room and you want to paint a room and you need to write some painting. You need to identify how many feet, how many width, what is the square feet of the room, so you can find out how much painting should I buy, right? So it's just basic things like that we should always keep in mind, correct? Um, okay, let's keep going. Okay, so now what do you think about STEM and what kind of jobs do you think about? There is going to be a portion on the survey that you have to do, where I'm going to be asking you those questions. So that's where you can do it, right? Let's see. Give me a second. Mhm. So always think, what is a STEM area that you might be curious to explore more? Um, Right, and how can you use your creativity, your innovation, your problem solving skills, to get to that point? Okay. So here are some of the careers that you can look at that you haven't thought of. Some of them we have mentioned, some of them we haven't. So one of them is a chemist, one of them is an automotive technician, a climate scientist. Imagine how it would be if we didn't have the weather app and if we couldn't determine how the weather is going to be today, right? Because I cannot imagine going out in shorts when it's a 0 degree or 1 degree outside. No, right? So that's important because we had somebody that was able to develop the technology for them to determine the weather, right? How cool is that? We have a digital marketing analyst, as somebody that markets different products. We have a web developer, as mentioned before. But let me show you that one because there's this website I said earlier, before I forget. Let's see. I forgot the name of the website, but it shows you like different websites. Oh, not this one. My apologies. Where is this websites? Where is this? Let's see, of the year or something like that. I think it's this one. So here you can explore different websites. So you can see how cool it is to do like web development, right? So let's see this one. Vote now. This is how it looks like. Some of the highlights. Where is this? Just one is specific. Let's see. I think it is this one. This is how it looked like. Okay, let's see. There's the website. Where's the link? Oh, this is the site. Okay. Oh, look at that. Wow. Somebody created this for Gucci. Okay. Look at that. And it shows you the name of the design. Shop now. It gives you all of those options about the artist. Look at that. How cool is that? Let's see. There's a few more. Oh wow. I had a web development class and I loved it. It was hard, but I really enjoyed it. Let's see. This is actually, it says Sanctuary in the Clouds. It's at Sai. Wow, how cool is that? And it's just such an experience when you go to a website that is actually aesthetically pleasing. Let's see, enter experience. Oh wow. So look at this one. This one, it says your sanctuary in the clouds. The most iconic addresses that'll be in the location. So if you look at it, you can see, you know, how far they're from the sky. I don't even know. Oh wow, this is a real estate thing. This is beautiful. So imagine you shopping for a house and you get that experience of the website. Look at that. It gives you all of the information, the phone number for you to call contact. So this is a real estate agency. How cool is that? I love it. Wow. Let's see. Wow, this is expensive. This is rich. Let's see. Let's do four plans. Let's see how the look at that. Wow. No, this is actually amazing. No, wow, this is amazing. But imagine if you can create your website, right? Like how would it look like? How would it be? What will be some of the designs? And how creative do you have to be for you to be able to create something like this, right? Let's see, let's explore one more and then that's a let's see, what am I interested in? Mm, submit website. For this one, you can submit your websites and then they can get rated. How cool is that? Let's see, explore um sites of the year. Let's do that. Let's do this dog. It's cute. Let's go to the site. It says don't board me. Okay. Bounce a boat to get to the site. Oh wow, that's actually pretty cool. Look at that. Don't board me. A tired dog is a happy dog. How beautiful is this? I love it. Look at that. It says the services and it says the overnight care. What else? The dog walking. I like this. I think it's creative. I don't know if it might be too difficult for an older audience to use. How cool is that? Wow. Wow. I actually love this. I'm not even gonna lie to you. This is amazing. And then you can book it shows you the price. Yeah, I like it, but I don't like it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I like it. Okay, so you can go to that website too. You can just look for websites you know, websites of the year, and it shows you the website where you can explore all of them from the past years too. So that way you can see how it has been developing throughout the years, which is pretty cool. Okay. Now let's move to this. So for somebody that needs to be no that wants to be involved in the field of STEM, these are some of the skills that you will need to, be good at, right? So give me a second. It takes a while. So you have to be able to do problem solving, right? So for most of you that want to be entrepreneur or be involved in STEM, you need to be able to be as creative as possible for you to be able to solve a specific problem, right? The second one is having critical thinking skills. So that's having the ability to think in different perspective or to think outside of the norm. That is the best way to to describe it. Be very curious. The other one is think logically as well, right? You have to have good communication because most of the times you have to communicate with a team or somebody that shares the same, skill sets, not acknowledge as you, so that you can, collaborate with them and build your idea. And then a lot of research, right? A lot of research. Being innovative means that you also have to explore others' ideas in the past and see, you have to see the gap. What is something that was missing? What is something that they didn't explore before? How can I make this better? Right? Okay, look at this one. It says, both of my parents are, this is a testimony from somebody. It says, both of my parents are professionals. My mother is a urban planner and my dad is a civil engineer. I want to combine both, but not do one specifically, which is what shaped my path. I had advisors, professors, and internships that influence my direction. So how important is internship and guidance when you're somebody that you're interested in getting into that field, right? Because the reality is that some of you might not have parents that, graduated college, or that they, pursue a career on STEM. But if you have the minimal interest, the best advice that I can give you is reach out to somebody that has had those experiences. It's important to explore your interest, right? Not just in STEMs, because it's not, you don't have to do STEM if you're not interested at all, right? But it's just explore those possibilities that can help you, right? So blend your interests. Teamwork is important, and there's so many choices and options for you to do. So now let's think about what do you get when you combine STEM and some of your other interests, right? So for this one, let's see, I have it in a piece of paper. I want to show you the one here, but I would like to show you this. Let's say for the TikTok algorithm. So for those who do not know what the algorithm is, it's basically when you go on TikTok and you click this one video, and now you only get one of this one video, right? So let's say for me, I like fashion content. And then since TikTok, the computer programming, they noticed that I only watch, fashion videos, is only gonna keep sending me fashion videos. But let's say I watch fashion videos for like 90% of the time, and I'm interested in cooking videos. And so the more that I do cooking videos, the more cooking videos I see on my For You page, right? So imagine TikTok algorithm involves technology and involves math, right? Because I have to see how many seconds are you looking at this page, how many likes do you give, are you actually interested in this, right? And then we have apps, AI that involves technology, right? And how cool it is, how good is it to use ChatGPT when you have any other questions? Because I feel like Google is not good enough anymore. And then for engineering, somebody that does constructions, right? And this is also involved with architecture, the buildings that you live in, the buildings that you go to school in, things like that. And then for the math, we have data, we have money, we have patterns, we have things like that. And let's say for the COVID vaccine, we have it's science and math, right? So now let's look at this. So for STEM and finances, they have banking, fraud detection, so data scientists, computer scientists, financial analysts. Then we have a STEM and law. We have a cybersecurity law. So those can be lawyers or cybersecurity experts. Then for STEM and media, we have the TV show creation, right? So the filmmakers, the data scientists, right? Let's see, when every single time that you go to a movie theater and you watch a movie, the makers, they have to use specific technology for them to be able to get the movie shots that you're interested in, right? The data scientists and engineers for STEM and art can be a fashion designer, right? So those are artists, those are designers, those are engineers. And then for STEM and technology, it can be, entrepreneurs, engineers, and things like that. Look at this one. I want to read this because this is more of an inspiration, and this is a testimony of somebody that, similar to most of you, they only spoke one language and they had to adjust to learning English, and then she was able to pursue a career in STEM. So she said, in the US, people have criticized me my language and how I speak. That makes me sad and has a negative impact on me. But I have to keep perspective even though it is hard. I took a civil engineering class and there were only 3 women. And the professor was very unfavorable towards women. It's still, I will not stop doing geoscience. I love my career choice and I will not stop teaching about it. I would like to be a voice in the science and STEM. I want to create a community that likes ocean science and climatology. And I am a member of 3 associations in society. Wow. The person needs to, well, I think this is beautiful. And it shows what you can do with discipline, commitment, and taking the initiative of following your dreams. So as you can see, somebody that came from another country, didn't speak the language. She was one of 3 other women in the class, and she was, judged, potentially prejudiced, but she did not give up and she continued, right? Okay, now I'm gonna show you some videos in regards to um marine biology or things like that so that we can relate those things to science. Wow, but I have to say, I love this. Wow, I need to, I love this website. Okay, let's see. Let's go on YouTube. Let's learn about, let's see.
So what's up, guys? Welcome back again for another video. So I have a decent amount of experience with.
Oh, I don't like this one.
Just how deep does the ocean go? If you took the highest point on land and submerged it, you would still have more than a mile between you and the deepest point in the oceans. The oceans harbor 99% of all living space on Earth and have enough water to fill a bathtub that's 685 miles long on each side. For scale, here's a human, and here's a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth. Blue whales usually hunt at depths of around 330 feet within the well-lit zone of the ocean. Deeper down, at 700 feet, the USS Triton became the first submarine to circumnavigate the Earth in 1960. At 831 feet, we reached the deepest free dive in recorded history.
Wow.
Down here, the pressure is 26 times greater than at the surface, which would crush most human lungs. But whales manage it, diving to a max depth of 1,640 feet where they hunt giant squid. At 2,400 feet, we reach the danger zone for modern nuclear attack submarines. Any deeper, and the submarine's hull would implode.
Okay, great. So now that we are back, let's review a few things. The first one is, now that we talked about, web developing technology and things like that, let's talk about marine biologists and what they do, the science and technology that they have to use. And I think this might be a little interesting to all of you. So let me put it.
Does the ocean go? If you took the highest point on land and submerged it, you would still have more than a mile between you and the deepest point in the oceans. The oceans harbor 99% of all living space on Earth and have enough water to fill a bathtub that's 685 miles long on each side. For scale, here's a human, and here's a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth. Blue whales usually hunt at depths of around 330 feet within the well-lit zone of the ocean. Deeper down, at 700 feet, the USS Triton became the first submarine to circumnavigate the Earth in 1960. At 831 feet, we reached the deepest free dive in recorded history. Down here, the pressure is 26 times greater than at the surface, which would crush most human lungs. But whales manage it, diving to a max depth of 1,640 feet where they hunt giant squid. At 2,400 feet, we reach the danger zone for modern nuclear attack submarines. Any deeper, and the submarine's hull would implode. 2,722 feet down is where the tip of the world's tallest building,
Wow,
the
look
Burj
at that.
Khalifa, would reach. A little farther, at 3,280 feet, we're deep enough that sunlight can't reach us. We've now entered the midnight zone. Many animals down here can't see, like these eyeless shrimp at 7,500 feet who thrive near scalding hot underwater volcanoes. At this depth, temperatures are just a few degrees above freezing, but the waters around hydrothermal vents can heat up to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. 9,816 feet is the deepest any mammal has been recorded swimming, the Cuvier beaked whale. But not even the Cuvier beaked whale could explore the RMS Titanic, which rests at a staggering depth of 12,500 feet. The pressure is now 378 times greater than at the surface. Yet you can still find sea life like the fangtooth, hagfish, and Dumbo octopus, the deepest living octopus on Earth. At 20,000 feet is the Hadal Zone, an area designated for the ocean's deepest trenches, like the Mariana Trench. If you tip Mount Everest into the Mariana Trench, its summit would reach down to 29,029 feet. That still doesn't compare to the two deepest crewed missions in history. In 2012, director James Cameron descended to 35,756
Wow.
feet for the Deep Sea Challenger mission. But Cameron didn't quite break the record, which was set by oceanographer Jacques Piccard and Lieutenant Don Walsh in 1960. Piccard and Walsh descended to the lowest point on Earth, Challenger Deep, at a record 35,797 feet below the surface. Since then, scientists have sent half a dozen unmanned submersibles to explore Challenger Deep, including Kaiko, which collected over 350 species off the seafloor between 1995 and 2003. But scientists estimate there are potentially thousands of marine species we have yet to discover. Humans have explored an estimated 5 to 10% of Earth's oceans. We've only just begun to understand the deep, dark world that flows beneath us.
Wow, look how cool that is. So I wanted to show this one specifically so that we can see a diverse in different options of careers in the STEM field. So look at this one. So this one involves biology, STEM, math, and technology, right? Because they have to develop the technology that is innovative and possible to reach the depth of the ocean, and 30,000 feet. That is insane, right? And explore different species, and things like that. So it just really shows, how far somebody's creativity led them, right? It's amazing. And it's important to just think that we have only, us, the human beings, we have only explored 5 to 10% of the ocean. So imagine how vast the ocean is, and that still goes unexplored. And as they mentioned in the last one, there's more, they think that there's more than 1,000 species that still has not been discovered. Look at that. Now let's keep going. So why STEM is also interesting aside of, the creativity and how everything looks like. The other thing is, sorry, give me a second, is that it is one of the most paying careers for those who go into the STEM field. So give me a second. Look at this one. So in regards to the job creation and economic growth, it says that STEM jobs are expected to grow 10.8% from 2021 to 2031, and that the average salary for STEM work will be 6 figures, which is 100,900. So imagine some of the things, some of the creations. Some of you know the Stanley Cup. How cool is this? Do you know that for any hot beverage, it can last here, it can remain hot for 5 hours. Any cold beverage, it can remain cold in this original temperature for 11 hours. And ice can last here without melting for 48 hours. How cool is that? So imagine the technology that you have to do to create something like this. Um, Let's see. So it reduces the single-use plastics, which is horrible for the, climate change and the environment. It shifts towards sustainability because this is sustainable for the environment because you're using it multiple times, right? And it's also cost saving instead of buying, a bottle of water every single day. You can just have this and just fill out the water, right? How cool is that? And then we have the smartphones, as we mentioned. Yeah, those things. And the skincare, right? You need to be good at chemistry because you need to create the formula. You need to be there's biology. So understanding the skin biology, the packaging, the medical expertise, right? So dermatology, the technology and things like that. So the impact is usually promoting skin health, the sun protection, right? Against the UV lights, and the economic growth as well. As you know, skin products are extremely expensive. And then we have an electric vehicle like the Tesla, reduce environmental impact, transportation innovation, and things like that. And we have the traffic lights. So what is the bigger picture? One, it puts us on the map. Two, it helps our country shine, right, by creating as many innovative technological products as possible. It makes us very competitive. It powers progress, right? So it helps us advance to potentially a more sustainable and healthy society, right? So imagine before we only had gas cars, now we are having hybrid, so gas cars that use both gas and electricity, and now we have Tesla, which are, so there you can see the progress to a better society because we are creating a more sustainable space community. And now, let's see, where is this? Give me a second, guys. But yeah, that was pretty much it. And the next time we're gonna be review other resources that you can go to for you to be able to explore those options. Okay, thank you.